When we were together in episode 74, we talked about the disruption you secretly crave, the moment when your shadow queen says enough. This version of your life doesn't fit anymore, and things start to shake. In 75, we walked through the hallway after the disruption, the in-between where you're not who you were, and you're not yet who you're becoming. So today, as we slide towards the end of the year, I want to zoom all the way out, not just on your job, not just on your relationships, on your whole identity, who you've had to be to succeed, and who you're quietly becoming underneath that. Because here's the mindfuck I want to leave you with this year. My business, Mindfulness with Mahara, wasn't a brand. It was a becoming. And the same is true for you too. Okay, your life is not a LinkedIn bio. It's not a tidy Instagram grid. It's not a job title plus a side hustle plus a morning routine. You're not a walking elevator pitch. You are a becoming, a living, breathing, evolving expression of something deeper that refuses to stay squeezed into whatever role the world handed you at 16, 25, 35, 50. If you're a successful woman listening to this, maybe you're leading teams in corporate, maybe you're, running your own thing like I am, maybe you're the go-to human for everyone in your world. Well, chances are you're very good at playing your role. Some of you are smiling right now. You know how to perform capable. You know how to perform fine. You know how to show up to the meeting, the presentation, the family gathering, and be the grounded one. But underneath, well, there's another part of you that's been whispering all year. There's more. Not more on your calendar, but more of you. And that's what my Substack piece, Mindfulness with Mahara Wasn't a Brand, It Was a Becoming, is really about. Before this podcast, before the Trinity, before the Oracle decks, I did not have it all figured out, not by a long shot. I didn't download some magical 5-step framework. I had a feeling, a subtle sense that the way I was living and working wasn't the full story. And I realized, or had this feeling, that there was a truer version of me waiting in the wings, more spiritual, more honest, more intuitive, less performative. And she was getting louder. Couldn't ignore her anymore. I thought I had to be very clear first, clear on my message, clear on my purpose, clear on what I was offering, and then I'd have permission to live it. But truthfully, that's not what happened. Presence came first. Tiny, repeated moments of actually being with myself in the life I already had, in the kitchen, in the office, in my car, on walks, and admitting the truth. This part lights me up. This part drains my soul. This conversation feels like oxygen. Ooh, this version of me feels like a costume. That's how becoming works. You don't invent your work in the world, whether it's leadership, art, caregiving, mentoring, creating, disrupting, or all of the above. You actually grow into it. Think about your year. You probably played a lot of roles this year: boss, colleague, partner, parent, friend, fixer, peacekeeper, planner, healer, and maybe you played all of them at once. From the outside, it might look impressive. Inside, though, you may have felt strangely disconnected, like you're checking every box, but still missing something essential. Well, that something isn't another certificate or better time management. It's you. The you that includes your spiritual side, your intuition, your questions, your longing, your weirdness, your sensitivity, your quiet magic. The parts that don't always fit neatly into a performance-driven world, which, by the way, is what we live in. And for a lot of high-functioning women, spirituality has become a side hobby. A meditation app here, a yoga class there, maybe some crystals on the nightstand, but it stays separate from how you lead, how you decide, how you love, or even set boundaries. It's like, here's me at work, here's me at home, and here's me when I'm being spiritual. Well, no wonder it feels disjointed. No wonder you feel like you're living in fragments. Your soul doesn't care about compartments. It wants coherence. It wants you to be one person. The same woman in the boardroom, bedroom, car, yoga mat, kitchen, and the same woman who's alone with your thoughts at 2 a.m. And this is where your Trinity comes in. Your shadow queen is the part of you that refuses to keep living split like that. She's the one who's been behind every disruption you've experienced this year. Every, I can't do it like this anymore. Every moment you snapped at something you used to tolerate. Every time you cried after a meeting that looked fine on paper. And she's not trying to ruin your life. She's trying to unify it. Your inner critic, of course, has had a lot to say about that, as per usual. She loves the version of you that's predictable, palatable, pleasing, and productive. She gets very nervous when your spiritual side starts asking for more space, more truth, more quiet, more depth. She's going to tell you things like, don't be so weird, for the love of God. Don't overthink it. Don't rock the boat. Be grateful and stop asking for more. And your divine guide? Well, she's the quiet, steady presence that's been with you through it all. She doesn't shout. She nudges you, right? She's the one who makes you pause before you say yes to something that looks perfect but feels off. She's the one who whispers, there's another way, when you're about to bulldoze yourself again. She's the one who won't let you forget the moments that felt holy, even if no one else saw them. So let's land this in something practical, because it's nice to talk about becoming and presence and soul, but your inner critic is over there going, cool story, babe, but I have a job, a family, and 47 emails to get to. Well, that's fair. So I want to offer a few ways to look at your year and your life through the lens of becoming instead of branding. First, let's look for the threads, not the titles. So instead of asking, what am I? Manager, director, entrepreneur, badass, mom, whatever. Ask instead, what do I keep doing no matter where I am? Maybe you always end up being the one people confide in at work. Maybe you naturally translate complex stuff into simple steps. Maybe you're the one who names the elephant in the room without fear. Maybe you quietly bring calm wherever you go. Well, these threads are clues. They're your becoming, braiding through every role long before you have language for it. Second, notice where you felt most alive this year. Not necessarily most comfortable or most praised, but most alive. It might not have been the big presentation. It might have been a quiet one-on-one with a colleague, or a hard conversation where you chose truth over harmony, or an evening where you allowed yourself to tell someone, actually, I'm not okay. Aliveness is a spiritual metric. Your divine guide uses it to steer you. Okay, third, pay attention to where your spiritual side tried to join the conversation and got shut down. So think back. Were there moments where you felt a nudge to pause, to breathe, to listen, to say something deeper, and you overrode it to stay efficient, agreeable, or professional? I'm not saying you should start sage smudging your open office, but I am saying your inner wisdom has probably been offering you micro course corrections all year. That's presence. That's becoming. Clarity doesn't always arrive first either. Presence always does. The more present you are in your actual life, at your desk, in the meeting, making dinner, lying awake at night, the more obvious it becomes what's true for you and what isn't. And slowly, sometimes annoyingly slowly, your life starts to reshape around that. And this is what happened with Mindfulness with Mahara. Before it was a business, it was just me paying attention to what I cared about, to how I showed up in conversations, to what I couldn't unsee once I saw it, to the women who came into my world and kept reflecting the same themes: overperforming, under-receiving, spiritually hungry, deeply powerful, deeply tired. I didn't sit down one day and say, right, I'm going to build a brand for spiritual badasses. I watched what wanted to happen through me. I said yes to it, one very uncomfortable step at a time. Your version of that may never look like a business. It might look like the way you lead in your department, the way you raise your kids, the way you care for your aging parents, the way you show up in your community, or the way you write, paint, volunteer, organize, mentor, disrupt, anything. Your work is not only what you're paid for, it's the imprint you're making on the people around you and on your own soul. So, as we close this chapter of the year, I want to invite you into a gentle but honest inventory that has nothing to do with resolutions and everything to do with becoming. You can journal on these, voice note them, or just let them ripple through you on a walk. Here's some questions for you. Where did I feel most like myself this year? Where did I feel furthest from myself? What part of me tried to emerge spiritual, intuitive, creative, honest, that I kept tucking back in? If my life wasn't a performance, what would I admit I'm really craving? Oh, it's not a good one. Be real. You don't have to keep it pretty. This is just between you and you. And then ask one more question. If I stopped trying to maintain the image of who I'm supposed to be and started honoring who I'm becoming, what tiny shift would I make? Not a total life overhaul, people. A tiny shift. Maybe it's taking 3 slow breaths before you answer a request. Maybe it's telling a trusted friend, I think I'm changing and I don't fully understand it. Maybe it's reading something spiritual on your lunch break instead of doom scrolling for 20 minutes. Maybe it's booking that therapy or coaching or retreat you keep telling yourself you haven't earned yet. I'll give you a little hint for myself. For me, it was being really honest with my husband the other night. Something happened in the house and I got triggered. And I was anxious the whole night we were watching, or Netflix, I guess. And he looked at me funny. And I was honest with him. I said, you know what? I'm feeling kind of funny, feeling a little off. So that's my little aside as to what it looks like for me. It can be as simple as that. So this is how becoming works in real life, not through giant cinematic gestures every week, but through repeated micro choices to be present, honest, and loyal to yourself, even when it would be easier to go back to the old role. Your shadow queen is here to make sure you don't abandon that process. Your inner critic's going to try and say, you're being dramatic. Who do you think you are? Your life is fine. Don't mess with it. And your divine guide will keep whispering, you don't have to burn everything down. You just have to stop abandoning yourself. So as we roll toward a new year, there's going to be a lot of noise. New year, new you, reinvent yourself, glow up. I'm going to say this as lovingly and as clearly as I can. You don't need a brand new you. You need a truer you. You're not a phone that needs resetting. You're a woman who's lived a whole, complex, beautiful, messy life. And your spiritual self is asking to sit at the main table now, not in the corner. In our next episodes, we're going to walk into the new year anchored in sovereignty, in the truth that you're not starting over, you're reclaiming. We're going to talk about how you don't rebuild power. You remember where you left it. But for now, as this year closes, if all you do is this, acknowledge that your life is not a brand to get right, but a becoming to honor. Notice where presence has been guiding you all along, even when you didn't understand it, and choose one tiny act of loyalty to your becoming. That is more than enough. You're not behind. You're not too late. You're not too logical to be too spiritual or too spiritual to belong in your career. You are a whole human, learning how to let all of you come to the surface. And that, my love, is the real work of this lifetime. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe on Substack and meet me inside the Trinity Oracle deck when you're ready. Here's to you.